Hello everyone, my name is Chloe and today I'm going to show you an example of how to use Gregtech 5 transformers to transform power up and down, as well as convert power from other power systems into and out of Gregtech 5 power system. So let's get started. First thing I want to show you is how to step power up and down. And for that, I've made this example board here with all the different transformers available in Gregtech. Now, if you're a fan of Industrial Craft 2 and you've been using it for any given amount of time, you'll know exactly how a transformer works. In its normal mode, which are the ones on the bottom, here, there are 9 of them. They actually have 10 power tiers, but there's only 9 because you don't need one for the final max tier. And I'll get to that in a second. But in its normal mode, you'll notice that the button on the front is really big and has these little tiny arrows pointing in. That's because this is the input. Now, if you notice up here, this is the exact same transformer, except it's been inverted. You invert it using a hammer. Take a Gregtech soft hammer, and you can actually invert them back and forth like this. Just click it. See, now that one's in step up mode. And this one's in, this one's in step down mode. And this is in step up mode. But if I want to change it, just hit it with a hammer. No big deal. So in the step down mode, you can see it's taking 32 volts in and changing it down to 8 volts. But if you do it in step-up mode, it can take 8 volts in and turn it up to 32. And this is the same across the board no matter what level of voltage you are using. So let's just say I had, for example, I've got an example set up actually. Here I have a Gregtech generator. Now, this is an advanced diesel generator, and of course I'm using creative tanks that are fueling everything, and I've got a lever on the side. I've actually had to use an input control cover on the side of this module so I can use a lever to keep the diesel generator from running right now. And what I've done is I've hooked it up through some cable to this low voltage transformer. Now if I use my scanner, let me grab a scanner here. This is the Gregtech portable scanner. If I go here and I scan this, you'll notice that right now on the energy in the max in and the max out, max in, it doesn't take any in obviously, and the max out, when I turn this on, you'll see it's 32. Okay, let's rescan that again. Now, see there? On the max out, it's actually 128. Okay, it's not 32. I'm sorry. It's 128 on the EU out, which is actually in Gregtech. It's actually volts. EU and volts are the same thing. It's just that Industrial Craft is EU and Gregtech uses volts. They're not compatible, but you can switch in between them, and I'll show you that. And that's the whole purpose of this video, is to show you how. Okay, so now that this generator is converting, or sending out 128 EU, what we're going to do with that is we want to step it down so we can fill this low voltage battery buffer down here, and this battery buffer can only handle 32. See here, max in is 32, max out is 32. So, and if you don't know how to use battery buffers, just click this link here in the description or on the screen, and I've made a video on how to use battery buffers. So what I've done is I put a transformer here, and I'm going to take it and go from 128, step it down from 128 to 4 packets of 32 EU or volts, and it's going to fill this battery buffer. Now I've used also some cable in here. This is zinc 4X cable, which if you look at it in the description here, it shows that it will handle a maximum of 4 amps. Amps are the same thing as packets. If you're used to packets in Industrial Craft, amps are the same thing as packets. So we need to send out 4 packets of 32, because 4 times 32 is 128, and so that's what this thing is converting it for us. So if I lost my scanner here, if I go ahead and scan my transformer, you'll see that my transformer is currently taking in 128, and it's sending out a maximum of 32 volts or EU at 4 amps. Now the 4 amps, again, those are packets. So that's why I need to have a little bit bigger of section of cable in here. So right now you notice this light's not on. I'm actually using a Gregtech energy detector cover on the top of this machine, so it'll put out a redstone signal when energy is flowing. Now once I put a battery in here, I'm going to grab a battery real quick, an empty one. Here we go. When I put this in, you're going to see the light kick on. Okay, it's starting to fill. And we're filling a 32 volt battery from a generator that's sending out 128 volts or EU. And let's scan this and take a look at it, what it looks like. See in here? It's got energy. On the energy line it says 768 EU. That means its internal storage is full, and it's broadcasting it out here. And same thing. We are now filling everything in this battery buffer. Battery's filling nicely. So, and if I would take this out, you're going to see that light go out. And maybe I'll make a video on how Gregtech covers work too, and different plates and so forth. But okay, so let's just look at this transformer real quick. Okay, this is the exact same transformer. It's a low voltage transformer. If you notice again, I've got the big dot right here, and the little arrows are pointing inward. That's because energy is flowing from here into there, and this is your input. All these other dots are outputs right now. So I have the same situation over here, except on this low voltage transformer, you notice that the big dot is over here. That's because we're in step-up mode, and the little tiny dots have little tiny holes in them. That's the inputs. So in step-up mode, what I've done here is this is a basic diesel generator, okay? And the basic diesel generator only outputs 32 volts or 32 EU. And what that's going to do when I turn that on is it's going to come here, and this generator, or this transformer, I'm sorry, it takes in 32 and it steps it up to 128, but it's only 1 amp or 1 packet. So that's why I have a thinner cable through here. This is a annealed 1X annealed copper cable, and it can handle the voltage and the 1 amp that's going to go through here. So if I look at, say, the description on that cable, there you go. It'll take a maximum of 128. Max amp is 1 or 1 packet, and that's exactly what I need. And it's really nice. This cable only loses 1 volt or EU per block, so that's really nice. So we're only losing 2 EU from here to there. And since it's only 1 packet, we're really, sending a lot of power here, not losing a lot of stuff. So just a little tip, when you're sending power long distances, you don't want to send it in multiple packets. You want to send it in the highest, you want to step it up to as high as you can and send it through cable. That will have the least amount of loss going the longest distance. And then you want to transform the power or step it back down at the machine that you're using. And you want to step it down and send that power into a battery buffer. You don't want to hook it directly to the machine because you're going to have brownouts and all kinds of other issues. Make sure you're using battery buffers. And again, I've already made a video for that, so click the description and you can go see my battery buffer video. It's really helpful. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this on. And you'll notice that this just clicked on really quick and then it went back off. That's because I don't have any battery in here right now. And the reason it went on for a split second is because this thing has internal storage in it. It's only tiny, but there is some there. Each every machine has a little bit of internal storage. So if you look at this one here, it says energy 768 of 768. It's got 768 volts stored in there. This here has 539 out of a possible 100 or 8,192 volts that it can store. So let's grab a battery here. And if I throw this in there, this is a medium lithium battery, and it can hold a total of 400,000 volts or EU. And it's going to, it's a 128 volt battery. So when I stick this in there, you're going to see this light come on. And so we are charging a 128 volt battery from a 32 volt generator because we're stepping up the power and we're sending it all the way down here. So this is actually really nice when you've got to do different things at different distances and you're not really near your power source. Again, the best time to use stepping up technology is when you're going to send your power over distances, and when you want to step it down is when you're taking a high amount of voltage and you're about to drop it into a machine or a battery buffer, and that's at the point where you want to step it down. Okay, so over here, Gregtech transformers also serve as another purpose. They don't just transform Gregtech's voltage system down and up, they also serve as a gateway for other power source from industrial craft. Now what I've got here is a quantum generator, and it's from the mod Advanced Solar Panels. And what it does is I have set inside for it to send out 2048 EU, and that would be industrial crafts EU it's going to send out. Now normally you would not be able to connect cable directly to this device. So putting Gregtech cable, trying to connect it to it would not work. The same goes with trying to connect things to an RF power source or something like that. We cannot do that. So this is going to be helpful for you if you've got stockpiles of EU in your world somewhere. So, and I'm just using a generator, but this will also work for any other, EU source. So what I've done here is, if you notice, right now it's turned off and it's got 2048 it's set for. I've taken an extreme transformer. If we look at the extreme transformers information, where are you? There you are. The voltage coming in can be a maximum of 8,192 and its output is 2048. So I could actually technically turn this clear up to 8,192 if I wanted to, because it's inverted. And what you're going to see here is I'm going to actually scan this with my portable scanner. And you're going to see right now the max in on this thing is 2048. The max out is 8,192. So what I've done is taken this transformer, and because I've inverted it, I'm actually reversing it. Let's go over here and just to clarify this real quick. Okay. Down here is the normal mode. It would normally take in 8,192 and step it down to 2048. But my power source is 2048, and I'm going to step it up to 8,192. That's what I've done over here. I've got it in step-up mode. And I'm using cable. I'm using a 1X platinum cable, and I'm going all the way down here to this extreme transformer. Okay? And you notice that this extreme transformer is set in regular mode. See, there's the big button, and the cable is going into it. So this is in normal mode. And this button over here, it's the big button here, and it's actually on the output. So I know it's in step-up mode. So I'm going to take the power all the way down here. This transformer here is going to step it back down for me into 2048. And then I've got a voltage or extreme voltage battery buffer here. I'm going to need to put a battery in there so it can charge it for it to work. So let's go ahead and grab or turn this on. Okay. Notice this did not come on. That is because there's nothing drawing power out of here right now. We need to go get a Lapotron crystal. That's what goes in this buffer here. So once I stick this in there, you'll see that it starts to charge. Now, if you stick it in there or other batteries in a buffer and it doesn't immediately start charging, that can be lag, and sometimes it takes a block update or something like that for it to get going. But you can see here we are using Buildcraft's power system, and we are charging Gregtech Power Up. Now, this also works with using RF power. We can actually take Factorization, we can take steam power, and we can turn those all into Greg power. How do we do that? You're going to need to download a mod called Power Converters, and there's going to be a link in the description. If you have any kind of tech world at all, I don't know how you play without having this mod. It's far above, I think, better than anything out there because it's consistent and it works correctly. And it's kind of nerdy. I like the challenge of, the extra blocks and setting things up. I know there's, Buildcraft has their own little converters and different stuff, but I like this one, and it just works really well, and I've been using it since Feed the Beast Ultimate 1.4.7 pack. So how do we convert this? All right, so here I'm using a Thermal Expansions RF cell, and then I'm using a piece of Mekanisim Ultimate Universal Cable in between here. Now, to understand how to convert things from one power system to another, let's take a look at three things. You first have to have what's called a consumer. It's going to consume up what is coming into it. Then the center block is called a bridge. There's only one bridge. Then the other block is called a producer. You are going to produce what you want coming down this way, or produce coming out of it. And this is multi-block, so you can configure it any different way depending on the type of power source you have. So in this case, I'm using an RF consumer because I'm consuming RF power into it. The bridge takes the energy in, and then the producer takes the energy from the bridge and produces, in this case, this is a Gregtech extreme voltage producer. So I'm putting Gregtech energy directly out of it, and I can connect my Gregtech cables directly to it, and it comes right on out and it charges my crystal. Actually, let me put another one in here so you can see it actually does work. So here we are. Lapotron crystal. There you go. We are using RF power to generate power. Now, if I were to say have steam, and I wanted to turn my steam from, say, flax beards or steam power, or say Railcraft steam power or something like that, just type in producer. And this, again, you need to have the power, we need to have consumer. And they look kind of the same. Here's all the different types of consumers. So here's the steam power consumer. So if I take the steam power consumer and say, just pretend this was a thing of steam coming out here, I would take this and I would put the steam consumer on there. If you look in there right now, everything's all wonky because it doesn't have any, steam. Okay, if I put the tank there, and I kind of cheat doing that, that way it's already, I have to get my wrench out, it's already in the orange, output mode. And I put a thing of Ender IO fluid conduit on there. I don't even need to set it. You can see in there, there's still no steam, but there is a connection now. So if I take this steam and I program that creative, there you go, boom. We've got steam coming out now, and check it out. It is developing power off the steam. Sweet! Check it out. It's actually going to charge. Now it's going to be a little slower because, steam power in this situation is, we're actually trying to generate, extreme voltage here. coming out. So it'd probably be better if I would to change this to say like high voltage, or I was to put in more steam into it, a higher volume of steam, something like that. But we can do the same thing with other types of power. Let's try, now there is a factorization. Let's do consumer. And I think factorizations is right. Oh, there's an MJ one. So if you want to take MJ power. Factorization, there's the industrial crafts low voltage, medium voltage, high voltage, extreme voltage, and the UV ultra, voltage. That's the one that's like, you'd put your nukes and everything else on that one. And then your steam. But this would be Gregtech too, so you can actually go the other way. So say you wanted to consume up Gregtech power from its system and convert it into factorization power, or you want to convert Gregtech's energy into steam, you can go ahead and you can do that. Really cool, really easy. Now, one more thing I want to show you here, and I've set up this bronze steam boiler here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab my hammer, and if you don't know how to use a steam boiler, I'm going to make a video for that too. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to make steam. It's going to come down this pipe, it's going to come in here, and it's going to turn these turbines. These turbines are going to generate each 512 EU. And I don't really need to, but I just did it. But from here, I'm using some cable, that supports it. In this case, it's 2X blue alloy wire. And we're going to come right off the sides and we're going to charge this MSFU. Now notice, I'm not using a transformer to connect directly to the MSFU. And that is because Greg was really clever. He made it so his energy can be directly connected and sent into industrial craft devices like the MSFU and their transformers, but you cannot go directly from their stuff into his. You have to use his transformer back. But in this case, I'm just taking power right out of the turbine, and I'm going to connect it right into this MSFU. And you notice there's no power on there right now. So if I take my hammer and start my boiler up, we should be getting some steam here soon. You've got to get the temperature up here. I should have probably turned this on before. There you go. You can see that I'm now developing some steam inside, and my turbines should start to turn here. Yep, they are. And slowly but surely, we are going to start developing and storing power. And this now is Industrial Craft EU that's in there. It's awesome, isn't it? It's awesome. Now let's just say you're using Gregtech's wire. If you try to connect to the output side of the MSFU, see, it will not connect. It will connect to any input side though. No problem, see? So if I wanted to take this power now out, I would have to use Industrial Crafts, fiber optic cable or some other cable that could handle its output. I believe the MSFU puts out 2048 extreme voltage, so we'd want to use Industrial Crafts, most likely the fiber optic cable. So there you go. There you have it. You can convert power from one system to another, and there's a lot more I could show you, but you really just need to get in there and start playing around. I know my videos are a little long, but I like to do that because I like to show examples of actually how you put things together and why, and your thought and methodology behind it. I don't like 60-second videos. I think those are like drive-by shootings. I like nice explanations. So if you enjoyed that, check out my battery buffer videos. Check out some of my other videos that I'm going to be making. And if you have some suggestions, I'm really open to feedback. I'm trying to make them better each time. I really appreciate your support, and if you could click like and subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. Okay guys, Take care, and I'll see you on the flip side.